All right, man, let's get going. Podcast number 1. I'm Jay Bugeaud, one of the owners at Recon Health and Fitness, based out of Calgary, Alberta. And my partner, Cody.
I'm Cody.
Yes, you are.
Recon Health and Fitness.
Yes, you are. This is our first podcast, guys, and we're pumped. We really wanted to be able to get a platform out, to be able to share what we think, our thoughts within the industry, and the things that we do, the things that we've innovated, and where we're going with our business, and how that kind of meshes with a bunch of the businesses that are local, as well as B2B approach internationally. And we wanted to share that with you, and we want to kind of try and bring some topics out about the industry maybe a little bit that people either don't want to talk about or there's no source to go to understand. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to hit it. Podcast is called Anchoring for Success. Fuck, apparently we're going with Anchoring Success. Which I love it too. When you guys start to understand like the anchoring system that we actually engineered and patented, it all kind of makes sense. So the podcast is called Anchoring Success. Let's get after it. So I guess a little bit about Recon Health and Fitness. We are a company within Calgary, 5 years strong now. Cody and I came together about 2 years ago now.
Yeah, coming up on 2 years, yeah.
Okay, coming up on 2 years. What I've been doing for the last 5 years is kind of engineering, patenting a system around resistance bands for the rehabilitation space as well as the strength conditioning space within health and fitness. So I spent the last 5 years doing that without even knowing Cody. My wife and I actually put a bunch of time into building out this business and these patents. And it's funny because this is now how the patent or how the podcast came to be. We created an anchor for your bands to be able to quick plug and play. And that's what we did. And that's what our business started as. So we spent, a few years just kind of evolving that into a method of training and a system to be able to use by the general public, professional athletes, juniors, etc. So my part when I was doing that, it was my 3rd year in, and a couple of my patents of bars and handles that we did based just on band training, we wanted to get them out to the market. And a mutual friend of ours kind of walked into Cody's business, which was Huge Life at the time, and kind of seeing where there was a mesh between him and I, between what he was doing and what I was doing. And coincidentally, I was looking for somebody to be able to retail some of our products. And then I met Cody. And Cody did what? What did Cody do before I met him?
We were importing fitness equipment, started our own line of product, had refined it pretty well by that point. And then we're going after the more of the commercial side of the business with the equipment line. We get introduced to each other. It was kind of doing its thing. I was innovating through closing the gap between commercial pricing and residential pricing. There's a huge discrepancy between the two. So I was wanting to close that to make commercial equipment available to home gym goers, boutique facilities specifically. And then you walk through the door with the most innovative technology that I had seen that just wasn't anywhere else, and was obviously intrigued by it. And didn't want to just retail your product. I wanted to be your partner.
He wanted to have a podcast. Is what he wanted to do. That's why I'm just sitting here.
Love being on camera.
Cody's humble. Cody's very humble about what he did. Let's be real about what he did. COVID hit, and Cody recognized that there was a flaw, there was kind of a gap within the industry. And correct me in any of these details if I'm wrong, but you're very humble and you leave out a lot of the key points that you hit and the metrics that you hit within this industry, right?
Yeah, you just we've been doing it for long enough now. I kind of even forget because COVID was such a crazy time, and the biggest thing for me was to make sure that fitness was available to everyone in those hard times. We're all sitting at home, can't even buy a pair of dumbbells for less than $3 a pound. So that was the biggest thing for me, was inventory up. And get it to the masses at a good price, cut price right away, it was price gouging, and it shouldn't have happened, specifically with a health and wellness products.
Yeah.
That's the only thing keeping you going at home.
Yeah.
So why should you not have it available? And it was down to price and inventory. There was nothing available, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we said, let's just get as much as we possibly can, slit the throat of the price gouging, take some market share, and then here we are. Go after the commercial, those kind of prize pieces started to be the thing that I wanted to attack from a plate loaded side of the equipment business, and then that correlated obviously really well with what you were doing, because I'm like, man,
So put those
plate loaded with bands is about as good as it gets. So let's attack it that way. It just so happens that we end up developing the best band system on earth.
That's actually crazy now that I think about it. When I look at you like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, your innovation was bringing equipment and transparency and pricing to the industry when people couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
It wasn't available during COVID, and number one, the prices went through the roof.
Yeah.
So you're the guy that took your own money, invested that into inventory, brought it in during COVID, opened up a shop with a warehouse to showcase. I know, you're humble, you don't tell the whole story, and I want to make sure you understand that. At the same time, he's doing that and he's bringing in equipment because it's needed at that time during COVID, and it's so expensive for everybody else. Same time, I'm over there not knowing who Cody is, and I'm doing the same thing but with bands, because people needed to work from home, and people needed to train from home, and that's all they had was either bands or equipment. So we were doing the band thing, and without knowing, Cody was doing the equipment thing. 3 years in, boom, we meet and we bring those two together. And it's pretty crazy. We sit here today that, you know, the equipment we have together in here, the strength load equipment, because we really specialize more in strength loaded or strength conditioning and plate loaded equipment.
Yeah.
To stay away from the service issues and, you know, the bearing failures and the pivot points of a lot of the equipment that's out there. We just kept it really, really strong and humble. And we made sure that our SKUs are band adaptable, because again, we're a band company, right? We teach and we train solely on resistance bands.
Well, and it's a level of authenticity within what we do. Like obviously our patented stuff, no one else has it. It doesn't exist in the world, right? But a lot of the equipment companies, and this was always like a thing that resonated with me, was you weren't able to get the average Joe or the personal trainer wanting to open up their new boutique space, who really should be training the world. They're really good at what they do, but what's your biggest overhead? Your lease and your fitness equipment package.
Yeah, crazy.
And there was no in between of and you've heard me say it, and everyone's heard me say it. Commercial quality at residential prices. You can still have commercial product going into commercial facilities that can be affordable, but there's a massive gap, gap with that. So, and I think that we kind of both decided, even like 2 years ago, we're just like, let's attack the plate loaded. Let's make the plate loaded equipment readily available for everyone, and be able to, even the guy in the garage gym or the home gym in the basement can be like, I still have a lat pull down plate loaded, when really they could have never got that, because they're not going to spend $3,500 on it. They would rather spend $1,500 or $1,750 on that product and be able to have a dream piece, and attacked it that way. It kind of came full circle, because we're band focused, we're innovation forward. With, again, products that don't exist. We've developed it, you've developed it, your notebook of mad scientist shit that goes on, that no one's even seen it. The gray. I just started graying as well, actually, which was weird.
There's a reason for that, though. There's a reason for that.
And it kind of just all happened through osmosis. Was like, this is the direction we're going. We're band focused. We're bringing band focused equipment to go along with the inventions that you've created, and it just makes sense.
I gotta be completely honest, man. Like, I come from a construction background, so I knew inflation in materials for home building, residential construction, commercial construction. I knew what my margins and my markups were on that stuff. But when I met you, and I stepped into the world of fitness equipment. Today, still, my mind is blown that there's that much of a monetary gap between really the manufacturing cost and the retail cost. And that's nothing to the brands that are out there, the equipment brands that are out there, because man, you guys develop just great equipment. We just stepped back a little bit and kind of assessed price during COVID, availability, and wanting to be able to give product that had no service issues potentially, or limited if that be. And once you did that, man, those prices, like, that's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, I don't know how much you share about that, but
Well, it's
if the public understood and knew that, there would be a completely different outlook at every little pocket gym and every big gym.
Well, and the thing is that the space itself is not, like, from an equipment standpoint, because there's a difference. There's, like, you have the manufacturers of the equipment, and then you have the facilities. So we close the gap entirely in terms of from a vertical integration, because we are factory direct. It's our own line of product, and we sell direct to the end user.
Yeah, I didn't even understand that word when I met you. Vertically integrated.
Right.
I understood it a little bit, but when you started explaining it to me and how to control and handle our own shit, like, that made 100% sense to me. But I never understood what that meant.
And that's because it's not a common thing in this industry.
Explain that.
There's your manufacturer, so fill in the blank of the product, and then you have a bunch of middlemen, which are dealers that then deal the product out. So you have your factory pricing that then gets handed out to different dealers across throughout the world, but localized to, like, North America. The dealers then sell theirs. There's kind of some set pricing involved with that. So there's basically just middlemen or salesmen that are then selling the product for the manufacturer. It's not factory direct per se. They just have, the only people that sell Recon product is Recon.
Yeah.
That's rare. That's just not it's not a common thing. We would, even for us, realistically, it should have been, you push your product line, your SKUs to dealers, but you lose control at that point. Not to mention price transparency is lost, because then you're having and everybody knows, if you ever bought fitness equipment, call for quote. I hated that. I hated it before I was in the equipment industry. I just want to know what it costs. I want to know what it ships for, and I just want to get the product in a timely fashion. So that's not a thing. Go onto any website and start pricing out, and you're calling for quote. So then there's no internet price. You don't actually know, and it's on a case by case basis. A machine that could have cost individual $3,000 might cost the other individual $35,000, depending on the package, because that's how there's no price transparency. They can juice the numbers however they want to make more here, make less here, upsell to a certain extent. So I don't want that. I want you to price your package on our website.
Yeah.
Say this is how much it is, and then we're going to actually discount it further for bulk pricing or commercial pricing, and then go from there. But you're going to have a really good idea of what your price is and what your shipping cost is long before you talk to one of us.
Yeah.
Because it's readily available, and it's not a common thing, but that we're allowed to do that because we're vertically integrated.
Vertically integrated. Yeah, I get it now. Those salespeople you're talking about in between manufacturer and buyer, I want to call them inflators.
Yeah,
let's call them inflators, because each one inflates that price just a little bit.
Every hand that piece of equipment touches, they get paid for that. So that can inflate. By the time it's all said and done, 50 people touched that product before it got sold to the end user.
And inflated.
Well, it's going to cost more because of that.
Yeah, how proud are you of your equipment you have right now?
Love it. It's the best.
Yeah, it is.
We need more.
Yeah, we do.
We need more.
We do. We went down some rabbit holes. Let's see what we're supposed to be talking about here. We were given a roadmap for our first one, but when Cody and I get going on, like, the industry, he educates me more and more every day, which is why I really value the relationship. I love a day that I'm learning something, right? It's always good, and I'm sure you feel the same.
Definitely.
And you become stagnant in life, right? And sometimes maybe it just takes that person or that relationship, or maybe some guy you just met at Tim Hortons, whatever, that educates you a little bit, right? And brings you engaging for more. And those are our conversations all day. And I'm continually just learning. The one thing I think when I came into this building is infrastructure. You had all that infrastructure in place, and you mobilized that infrastructure to bring containers in like quickly during COVID. I didn't understand that part. I understand what I developed and engineered, but I didn't understand how to get that into manufacturing in a volume scenario and still hold control of the patents, hold control of our cost and our production and the whole process. And I think, a reason why I think we turned real quickly from you selling retail my bars and stuff at the time to something so much bigger, because I realized the infrastructure that you had in place and what it took now after talking to you to actually get that product on the shelf or in that guy's hands.
Yeah,
it wasn't as simple as what I thought.
Yeah,
I thought I was walking in here giving you a package with my bars. They're gonna go on your shelf over there and they're gonna be sold for $2.99.
It's too good to do that.
It's too good to do that.
Too good of a system.
It is. I don't think I understood
that. And now because we are partners, I would have never. I wouldn't want anyone having their hands on it because they just don't understand it. There's not enough passion behind what it is, and that's like what we've developed now and the team that we have.
Yeah.
It's a whole different ball game in terms of a true, unadulterated system for band training, along with a full, all-encompassing commercial fit outs, everything, it all synchronized together. So it's good.
Yeah.
It's way bigger than retailing product on some shelf.
And that's what I just
fill in a
thought
blank dealership. It's way too good for that.
And that's what I thought this was. So even for like young innovators creating products or bringing a product into a market that maybe they want to sell, it's a big picture, man. There's a lot more to it. I mean, we engineered and patented, we developed a system, not just an individual product. But there's so much more to it. Like there needs to be help for innovators and young guys out there, at least from my perspective, because that's what my part of the business is, right? And if I went through that much of a struggle, I can only imagine the young entrepreneurs that are trying to do that, right? Bring innovation to an industry.
Well, and the sad part about it in the fitness space specifically is that there's a ton of innovative, great products.
Yeah.
I always steer away because this isn't a product; it's a true system.
Yeah.
But for those products that are really, really good, they would actually do us all a favor if we were able to. We don't even get to see them.
No.
Or they end up, the innovator like yourself has the product. It gets sold off after years of time and money and effort put forth. The big name comes in and swoops it.
Yeah.
And then you don't even know. It's just another fill in the blank product of the big name that managed to get it before.
See, that's crazy.
Yeah. And that was a big thing when you walked through the doors. I was like, this can't happen to this.
Yeah.
This guy has to be at the forefront of what he created.
Yeah. And that's the direction I would have gone.
Well,
That's what I thought it was, man.
You got 3 years and endless checks written up until that point. So someone comes to you and says, I'll cut you a check for this. You don't own the product anymore, and it's actually branded as this now. That would have been really sad. That would have been sad because this is much bigger than that.
Yeah.
What you've done. So
that's crazy. Let's go. You guys, let's clip over to showing some content about the floor anchors. We'll bring that up for you guys, because I could sit here and tell you the reasoning behind the word anchoring success, but you really need to see the anchor and understand what we did. So we're going to clip over to some movements using our ground anchors, and you'll understand why we named the podcast that, and a little bit more about what we're doing, right? Mission of our podcast. We do have a mission. We have a business mission, and then we have a mission for the podcast. Our business mission is to educate the industry in time under tension, in band training, not only with new products, but how to adapt bands to your existing products, as well as manufacturing our equipment in the way it should be to adapt bands to it, right? Because the general public doesn't understand how to use bands. They don't. They go to social media and they research something on how to tie it to a rack or something. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest problem, right? So education is huge. That's our model, is bring that education of band training. And it's not just us two guys sitting on a bench saying that. We're backed by physicians and the medical space already. validating what we've done and validating the methods that we've developed. So it's not just two guys in a gym talking about, how good things in band training are. It's validated. Check out, our websites and all that kind of thing. It'll tell you a lot more about it. When I met you though, you were Huge Life.
Yeah.
Right? Which that speaks for itself, man. You wanted big boys and you're selling big boy equipment.
Huge Life Fitness equipment.
Right?
It actually in the long run pigeonholes you to a certain extent, because depending on what you specific, like a medical space, they're just like Huge Life. Like that can be offensive to the wrong demographic, right? But it was that's what we were doing. We were bringing in 100,000 pounds of plates and dumbbells and banging out sets, and that's what it was all about, right? So
I still see Huge Life stickers on like,
oh man,
light posts.
I was straight.
The drive-thru at Tim Hortons around the corner.
I was straight up guerrilla advertising. I would just put stickers everywhere. If I was stopped in my truck, there'd be a sticker going on whatever I was around all the time. I actually got in trouble from Tim
No
Hortons.
kidding. I don't think you can do that, bro.
They're just like, you got to quit doing this every morning.
Oh man, why resistance bands? Well, that's a big topic.
Why not resistance bands?
Man, that's even better. I think why not resistance bands is because there's no education and no platform and no system.
Well,
until now.
Yeah, and you've said it before, and it's kind of a foundation of when we're on calls with physio clinics and gyms in general. Like any of our clients, if it gets brought up, is like, why close the gap between, for example, and you've said it 1,000 times, you leave physio, and what do you leave with? You leave with a set of bands for rehab. Yeah. Why are you not just training under why not do a mix of both? Yeah. Why isn't it just prevalent and used across all training methods?
Yeah.
So
it's not looked at that way.
No, it's not.
Go to the gym. People grab bands and they do this for 2 seconds and they're done. They hang the band back up on the hook and they're like, yeah, no, I definitely warmed up with bands.
Yeah, and that's something you really opened up for me too, like years of physio and stuff like that, and getting sent. I'm not doing my exercises.
No one does.
No one does it. But making it familiar across all platforms. Yeah, you're training in the gym. You're at least one portion of your training block you're using band intention. One up that even more because of the system that we've developed now. You can go full blast, full workout. Yeah, you won't pick up a plate. You won't do anything. Yeah, really. With all
demographics from rehabilitation,
our pins, our floor anchors, everything. It's
we're gonna hit that ecosystem right away and explain what that means. Yeah. So wide bands. Number one, and we'll pull up some statistics for you. Again, it is medically backed science that time under tension and resistance training develops muscle the fastest and in the most healthiest manner. That's not me just sitting here and stating that. That's not Cody stating that. This is science, already proven. What we did is we developed the products to be able to offer the public access to that type of training at a plug and play, just a quick connect, that's it. And you then get the ability to train the way our physicians are telling you and to rehabilitate the way that our physicians are telling you. So we didn't reinvent the wheel, right? A band has been a band forever. We didn't create the resistance band. We definitely added a few things to it to make it better, but we didn't invent it. We invented this system called the Recon ecosystem that is a quick connect band system within your entire facility. Whether you want to plug into the ground, plug into the floor, plug into the wall, plug into one of our power towers and use that right band of tension and that right band length, that's what we created. And you guys will see that once you're on our socials, and we'll put a bunch of it on here during the podcast. So you can kind of, while we're speaking, you kind of get an idea of what we're talking about. So why bands? Because it's medically proven, period. That's it. It's proven within the industry as well. You look at powerlifting, you look at bodybuilding. The industry is shifting. You agree?
Yeah.
The industry is shifting. We're getting smarter, which I love. That makes me so happy. We're not flipping it upside down. We're starting to identify a healthier way to create mobility, movements, and muscle development in a healthy way. That's what we're doing. And you see some big boys out there, like big boys that have been pushing plates their entire lives, slowly switching to more resistance.
Well, and a common theme, like as everyone ages as well, as like longevity. is such a huge thing, and it's kind of at the forefront of this industry, is like this level of longevity, rejuvenation, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But having a training method that goes along with that portion of it, recovery, is so huge right now.
Yeah.
Biohacking.
Yeah. Injury prevention.
Injury prevention. Well, it's all coming down to, I don't want to have a good couple of years. I want to have a great multiple years.
Yeah.
Of
And then I
life.
still want to have a life after that.
Yeah, and longevity is so big right now.
Yeah.
And it comes full circle, specifically with band training. It can help right across the board. So
it's funny. There's a I won't say mogul, but there's within our geography here. There's a brand that had made a comment to me about, well, bands are just a fad, and then that you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That kind of dug me right here, because number one, like, we're called Recon Performance for a reason. Recon is a root word of reconnaissance, right? Which means research, dig in, find everything you can about something. And that's what we did about bands. So to say it's a fad is incorrect, and I can back that up because, again, physicians have been handing out bands for 50 years.
Well, how does a product, which is that's what's so stupid about the comment anyways, is how is that a fad? Like, how do you have a product that's in use every single day?
Yeah.
How is it a fad?
Yeah.
There isn't a system. There isn't so much a system for it.
Yeah.
But how does something like that, a physio tool used daily
For
forever,
decades,
used in training method and training blocks in the powerlifting world consistently on a daily basis.
Yeah.
You're doing band intention.
Yeah.
It can't be a fad if it's a product that's embedded in every system, training method, training blocks. There's coaches that consistently have bands built into their training block.
Yeah.
It can't be a fad.
And I didn't understand the magnitude of band training. I understood my world of band training because that's all I knew. Like, when.
Yeah, and you have like a specific, how you train, and it's actually fun. Like, now that we're spooled up and doing it and having consistently having different athletes from different sports and stuff, and then you're just, even your eyes are opened up. And stuff that I show you, you're like, I had no clue.
Yeah.
How broad of a reach it actually has,
Right.
because it wouldn't feel, when you're like locked in to what you do, it doesn't like open up, and it's just like a world of many
crazy.
And movements and
I only knew
so
that
much more to it.
Because when I started on the floor in a gym with different bands, like tensions, in order to pull the tension out of my body, right? So I got into a state where my nervous system kind of locked on me. I didn't understand what was happening to me physically, but I do know that my nervous system locked, and we didn't, between doctors, myself, and my wife, fortunately enough, tried to understand why my body kind of locked on its nervous system. Stress will do some crazy things to you if you guys haven't experienced that yet. So I grabbed bands and I laid on the floor at the gym. I didn't know band training before that, man. I was typical from the time I was 14 up, just pushing iron like everybody else. I was a rigger when I was young, went right into construction, consistently training, but training traditional, right? Like dumbbell press, barbell press, squat press, all of it, right? When I grabbed those bands, though, I didn't know band training at all. All I knew is that band, the way that I was mobilizing myself towards the anchor point, would pull the tension out of a certain part of my body to the point where I could feel some relaxation, right? A little bit of ease within the tension. And that's all I knew. And then that evolved for me. I could feel like the engagement in my lats, for example. If I was laying on the floor and it would be pulling me out, I could stand back a little bit. I felt my lats engaged. And it was like, every time I would do a different move, my bicep would engage, or my trap, or my shoulder, or something. I'm like, man, there's something here, right? Like, this is doing more than pulling it out of me. I feel that muscle being engaged. I feel it working. And then, so I am diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder. That, in combination with recon, meaning research everything about it, really allowed me to kind of hone into the craft of band training. And that's what I did. So I dug deep into it, and I started feeling all these different movements and engagement in my muscle. But there was a problem. There was, where do you put that band so that I could capitalize on all the benefits that a band has? And that's what happened to me. But that was my experience with band training. Like, it only started 5 years ago, my experience with band training. But
people don't realize
they don't get that because the method we developed.
Because in the grand 5 years isn't that long to develop like what you've.
Yeah, and nobody knew about it for the first 4 years until we met and we decided 2024 was our year to go public, right? But that was my extent of my band training experience. And then I met this guy, and this guy grew up with some of the names you grew up with that were band training.
Well,
like 30, 40, 50 years ago using bands.
Well, yeah, like Louis Simmons, West Side Barbell, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, we were trying to figure out ways, because at the time, we had some bands, and we would train, and we're like, how are we going to do this? We'd like lift our deadlift platform up, feed the bands underneath it to go over the bar so we could do banded deadlifts, because in those training blocks you don't pull conventionally at all. So it's what combinate. I'm going to do bands this week. I'm going to train under band 3 times a week to get my variation in there. And trying to come up with all this funky shit to try to make the bands work in our little home gym setup, right?
Yeah. And he'll mention a name, and I'll go on social media and I'll look it up, and I'll be like, man, this is crazy. If I'd have known about this like 3 years ago or 5 years ago, I'd have been way more quick. I'd have been in your door earlier than what I was, for sure, right? But that was, so that was my extent, and you opened up my eyes to a lot more. You know, I did what I did with bands, and then I wanted to share that with the public, but I couldn't share our patents and our products yet because we were still in engineer development, right? Engineering and patent protection development. So I had to keep that and hold that close here. Once I decided to start sharing my method of training, I started out by doing band adaptation. So I would teach the public or friends within my community or people that I was training how to adapt resistance bands to the equipment that is in your gym, either your home gym or the facility that you go to. Like the weight horns, how to plug it, how to wrap it around this part to that part to be able to add tension to that equipment, right? I was kind of getting sick and tired of like people saying innovation, but all it was another piece of equipment that had a digital screen on it potentially, or, you know, a hydraulic seat was added to it instead of the old click seat. And that was what innovation was. And I was having a real struggle with that because that's just 4 more parts to a piece of machine, right?
Yeah.
And
it's funny, that's like, technology obviously gets thrown at it quite often. Like, that's the only way that you can advance.
So people think the innovation is tech.
It's tech, and it's not. You can do a lot to conventional products with the original. It's those original pieces that have like that great articulation point. It doesn't need to have a screen on it.
You know what's cool about that? What's that gym we were out in Saskatchewan at that we fit up? Chop Shop?
Brick House.
Brick House. And he's got that one section of the gym that is all old school Arnold.
Yeah.
Like all the old equipment he brought in.
Yeah.
Like 50-year-old equipment.
Yeah, it's refurbed.
Refurb.
The original, and some of that's like the best hitting stuff.
Like 2 hinge points on it.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Maintenance free.
And that's the busiest space within his whole facility. Yeah. People are going back to that old school because it hits.
And a lot of like and not necessarily there, but in a lot of cases, like, plate loaded, and I saw it coming too, and I was like, man, I'm gonna double down, I'm gonna triple down on plate loaded, have it readily available, because this is coming. There's gonna be a resurgence of plate loaded, and sure enough, we can't bring enough of it in. Adapted with bands, and you're in a whole different world.
Now bring in cost to that, and you say plate loaded, like a plate loaded chest press.
Yeah.
So traditionally, you're gonna load plates on it. You're adding weight, you're adding more cost to your purchase, et cetera, et cetera. Where my brain goes is take all that off and just put bands on it and buy some 10-pound plates instead.
Sure.
Add static and tension.
Have a combination of static and band, and you're laughing.
Yeah, I love that. It took me off charts here. Benefits of resistance bands training in rehabilitation and injury prevention. I'm not going to speak on that because we do have a medical back or team behind us that backs the science of what we're sitting here speaking.
And I think that'll be part of the podcast to have.
We got some
that's a big
crazy
thing.
guests coming.
Yeah. And they'll be able to fully speak to that.
Yeah. I'd rather that than me go into it because it'd be my own personal opinion.
And we dive into it, like once you get going, like even over the last portion of this podcast, you touch on it.
Yeah. You're talking way too much,
Me?
by the way. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Just back it up a little bit. Let me talk, okay? Let's be clear. Like, I don't have no bachelor's of sciences or no medical degrees or nothing, right? Like, I'm boots on ground, hard knocks growing up, and Cody's got the exact same background. So we're just guys that felt that and then drove into the business, right? But our team does speak to and validates the science behind it. We're just kind of the faces that are guiding it, and the inventors of the equipment, to be completely honest. I love this question, man. Common misconception about resistance bands. For example, being less effective or only for beginners. What's your opinion on that? I feel like we've had this conversation on camera before, but hit it. What's a common misconception about resistance bands from your perspective right now?
The biggest one is that it's a rehab tool.
Yeah.
Only.
Agreed.
Which is completely out to lunch.
Yeah.
It's train under banded tension.
Yeah.
And you'll see.
And
in most
research
cases,
that.
you won't really go back. You'll end up training that way quite a bit.
It's hard to go back. I can validate that because my body doesn't understand just static weight now. If I don't have like tension pushing on me in any kind of movement.
You change that for me as well.
Right. Yeah. It's like you're being forced, right? Like someone's pushing you all the time. Take that hand off of you and your power is completely, you don't even understand your own strength.
You can see why something like a West Side barbell method of training, why that comes into, because then when you're going and pulling your conventional deadlift, it's that there's no bands. All of a sudden it's
free weight to you almost, right?
Free weight, exactly. So there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
But my biggest thing is definitely that bands are a rehab tool.
Or a warm-up tool.
Yeah. Use bands.
Why you think that is? I have my answer, but I want to hear your answer on that.
Not that I want to say anything bad from a rehab and physio standpoint.
No.
But it just doesn't get put to the forefront where you can actually use the tools after.
Yeah.
Once you're 100%, go back to lifting heavy again.
Yeah.
Maybe if there's a little bit more education, it lacks education.
Yeah. That's my answer.
For sure. Yeah. It's just the lack of education.
Yeah.
And that's why it's
that
at the forefront of what we're doing is to educate, to make it far more accessible.
Yeah.
To be able to train under tension, under banded tension.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's lack of education, probably the biggest.
And I remember when I started training with bands in like big clubs, like, some of our local clubs are like Good Life and Golds and a few of those name brands. And I remember training in those places and you wouldn't see a band. Like I didn't see a band 5 years ago.
To like bring them with you.
I was bringing my own with me. And it was shocking to me. It was really shocking to me. But you'd see one guy maybe in a corner with a band, like I said, doing some delt warm-ups or something. And I think the misconception, it's no fault of the rehab industry. It's just no one has done what we've done. No one has stood up loud enough and said, there's more to bands than just rehabilitation and just warm-ups. Like, you see it all over social medias, but where do you go after that? Where's that library of movements? Where's the education that someone's already done that says, use this band for this amount of tension, step back 1 foot and add a little more tension, or get a longer band so you got more runway. Like no one has ever really put that information together all on one platform and then accentuated that with the Recon system, the Quick Connect system. Yeah, those have to go in combination. Otherwise, you're still tying to a rack. You're still tying to the floor or to the foot of your couch, or putting it in a door anchor.
Well, and there's tons of trainers that are like bad advocates for sure. No one sees it. Their followers see it. Their clients see it, but it's not like a true. This is where you go. This is the library and the education to be able to just train under. If you want to train under bands for the rest of your life, there's a million movements that can allow for that, right? But again, no true system There is no true system.
Yeah, and that's nothing, nothing about the industry, or there's a lot of good band leaders out there,
Of
like
course.
resistance band leaders out there in that industry that I love. I followed the last 5 years that helped me with my education. The thing is, there's some here, there's some there, there's some information here, there's some movements here on social media, there's some movements you can find on through your doctor. But no one has brought all that together to make it easy for the public and in combination with the right product to make it easy. No one's done that. So we're not saying that band training doesn't exist or advocates don't exist, because they do, and they're out there and they're amazing. But we're going to be the leaders in this industry, and we brought it all together. So just think about that. You go from an injury, which shouldn't have happened if you were training with bands on injury prevention method. Then you're into physio, right? There's somewhere you go for physio movements, but then you go back into training, where then you're on social media looking for training methods with bands. Mm-hmm. Then you get injured again, and you're going to look for, how do I rehabilitate my shoulder with a band? And it's like everywhere. You're just going everywhere.
Yeah.
And bring it all in-house, bring it all into one. And that's the biggest part, I think, about what we're doing for the industry, is creating that platform with different portals for rehabilitation and then strength conditioning in different sports, in different pockets, like youth hockey, youth soccer, all the way up to professional NFL, or CFL, whatever you want to call it, right? Yeah. But bring all that together where there's one platform. And that's we have that coming to you guys. I think January 2025, we should be able to launch that platform where, it's the Recon Performance platform that you'll go to. But like I said, we brought all those pieces together onto the one platform. So, for example, once you get onto our platform, whether it be, your desktop database or your app on your phone, once you get there, you're going to see a bunch of your athletes that you already follow, a bunch of the different clinics that maybe you go to across Canada and the United States, all having their own kind of portal off of our platform, right? Because that's what we wanted to do. There's so much benefits in band training in every little kind of niche of the industry that, again, we wanted to bring it all together. So once you get on that platform, if you're a boxer, you can go to the boxing portal. And we've already developed all the movements using the Recon ecosystem, the banded system, to give you the best training in boxing. Or you're football, you're an offensive lineman. Then you go to the NFL portal, where we have advocates from the NFL putting together those movements for you guys. And just go right there and understand how to train for driving off the line, right?
Yeah.
Same with, pregnancy and prenatal. There'll be a portal for that, because again, bands are adaptive to everybody. There's just never been a place you can go to, a hub, a one spot to say, this is what I want to learn. This is applicable to me. None of this is, but this is, right? And that's where I think a lot of success has come with our partnerships and our relationships with a lot of other businesses that you guys will start to see in 2025, is being able to give that education, that platform. Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's a tough one.
You said stop talking, so all yours, buddy.
Okay, entrepreneurship in the fitness industry. I know entrepreneurship in construction. I had 20-year long business in residential and commercial construction, and Cody had an extensive career in construction as well. So that's our background in entrepreneurship, which rolled us right into fitness. And I think we talked a little bit about how we got started, which would, basically explain entrepreneurship within the fitness industry.
Yeah.
There's something you want to touch on there? Maybe some hurdles or something that specific to the fitness industry you found?
Yeah, and it was kind of the thing that I held, I guess, close to my heart, was specifically the boutique facilities, like smaller facilities, catering to a smaller demographic, but doing really catered. They're really catering to their clientele. Yeah. They're not the big fancy box gyms, but they are offering something really, really good. They're trainers that the world needs with their training method. It's helpful. There's a big gap for the personal trainer entrepreneur that wants to open up their own space. It's really hard.
Yeah, this is a great topic.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
There's no There's no
competition is
question about
crazy.
it. It's there. The competition's crazy. Even to a localized standpoint, I mean, gyms are a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
There's a million options.
Yeah.
A lot of them, you have to offer something authentic. You have to have something more. It's not a build it, they will come mentality, which is a common misconception, I think. Even dealing with some of our clients, where it's like, I'm just going to offer it. The memberships pay the bills. It's what are you doing after the fact for residual income after the fact. So there's a lot of hurdles. I mean, it's a very, very tough industry, and we see it. The facilities change hands often.
Yeah.
It's an ever changing landscape, and it's tough. It's not. You offer something authentic, offer something unique.
That's what got me passionate about personal trainers.
Yeah.
Because it is such a hard industry to be in.
It's really hard.
Everybody went online. Then they don't know if they should be online or if they should be in person.
Yeah.
And what is the differentiator that they have over somebody else? Because to me, a personal trainer, I don't want to cloud them that together, personal trainers, but there's only so much you could do, man. Like as a personal trainer, there's only so much you can offer unless you have something cutting edge and new. Otherwise, you're no different. You may just offer a different kind of diet or eating plan, or maybe a HIIT workout as opposed to a heavy workout, right? But those are all knowledgeable already in the industry. So when I understood personal training and the ecosystem that we developed came to be, I was like mind blown, because I'm like, now trainers have something new, something different, an edge that they can use.
Curate your own group classes off of the system.
To expedite themselves, right?
It takes up no space when it's not in use. All of those things, all of the things that I say to clients when they're opening up a new facility is like, what is your residual after the fact? The membership has been paid for. Are they paying for group classes? Are they doing these things? And that's what's so great about the system specifically, because we'll touch back to it. It's so effective in smaller spaces to be able to offer that level of group training and curated classes based off of the ecosystem. And it can be a game changer. But it can be a game changer, anything that you're creating within, specifically with smaller spaces, because in most cases, really good facilities, the lease is the lease in the fitness equipment package. It's the most expensive process. It's a big hill to climb. You end up in a smaller space because of it. You got to be able to offer something more.
So that's
it can't just be you can't just open a gym. There's more. There's a lot more to it than
I agree.
Than that.
And I didn't know that either until I met you and started to understand that. And you're talking about like having an edge as a business with the ecosystem, giving you that something different to offer clients in a group class setting, or tension training that doesn't really exist, or on a higher level. But then there's also the personal trainers who are trying to make money, right? And you're giving them the same edge with the ecosystem. That was really passionate for me, because you've created something that you can give to others that they can now hold as value and share with others. That's massive.
No, it's big for that. Well, that's the beauty of bringing a product to market, right? Is that all that's all in a discovery phase. Like you're gonna have trainers creating their own programs off of that system.
That portal.
So it can give you an advantage. It can give you an edge within the facility, because I'll say it again, it's not easy. It's not easy opening up a facility.
Man, it's tough. I'll keep going back to, you need something different that identifies you outside the general public. And what is that in this industry? Outside of what we developed in our system, can you tell me something like, what do you think that trainers or clubs can use as an edge right now to put them above the guy next door?
Well, what ends up happening is that you just end up with like a scenario where the facility itself, that's the edge, is that they offer like call it like a HIIT workout program or something like that. But it's not all under it's then very niche. That's all that club does. It's not all encompassing, right? So I mean, it's a tough, and that's kind of how it's gone, is you have like the HIIT place, you have the Iron Kingdom, where it's just all plate loaded, banging weight, doing that stuff. It's getting it all under one roof. But in most cases, what does that take? Well, a lot of trainers that want to open up their own facility can't do a 30,000 square foot space.
Yeah, capital is an issue for sure, right?
And space is king. So to be able to put it into a 2,000, get a 2,000 square foot space and be able to have teams coming in and using the space for athletic performance, still have the guys that just want to bang out squats, still be able to do that, squat,
pull
bench,
some of that up,
deadlift,
too.
do all of those things. Create the space that's capable of doing that.
Yeah.
Instead of, I got to go here for this, I got to go here for this, I got to go here for this, and our viewers will see that we're on the trajectory to do something very similar over the next year of an all-encompassing space where your rejuvenation, recovery, everything, performance training,
which is the way the industry's going.
Yeah.
Look at the box gyms. They're trying to bring in physio. They're trying to bring in chiro under the same roof.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to do it. But are they doing it properly? And are they doing anything different than the others?
Yeah.
I don't see it.
No.
I don't see it. That's what bugs me.
Just that? Just that?
That's one thing that bugs me. That made me real
That's
mad.
all?
Yeah. I was in like a little space of my own with bands for so long, for like 3-4 years before we hooked up, right? So I didn't know, with the goal of creating collaborations and relationships with other, but not knowing how to do that and not knowing how much that can expedite your business. I think you started down that path pretty quickly into your
Yeah, I saw.
business.
Yeah, again, back to attacking and networking, and it ended up being even up until right now, it ends up like a collaborative effort. If I'm handling commercial clients, I'm not just their commercial equipment salesperson. Like we end up with pretty good relationships with all of our B2B relationships.
We also offer a lot more within the encompassment of the project.
Well, yeah,
We do
and
designs.
it's hands-on. It's a hands-on process throughout. I don't want to just ship you equipment. I want to get our marketing team in and do a shoot at your facility that we just built out. It's huge, and you get that personal touch as opposed to sign here. This is the equipment that you're getting. It'll arrive in 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And
really, at the end of the day, they succeed, we succeed.
Yeah.
That's a
we just want
partnership, right?
We just want successful facilities that are built out by Recon.
Yeah.
And it's big in this industry, and everybody knows it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's networking and collabs and the social media side of it. That's why we have a big social media team now. And content team, because we're not doing it, but it's a massive part of it, and our team does a really good job at it.
Yeah.
But don't throw me in
And
there,
I'll-
because that's a whole different world that I don't want to understand it. I just want it to be done right and have the team that does it.
And I think that's a little bit of a confusing space, like collaborations and partnerships, because we're a business. We still got to monetize ourselves, right? Like we still got to make money. So I think in the beginning of our marketing strategy, that's an inside joke, because we have an ongoing joke with our marketing officer about, man, where's the strategy? Like, where's the strategy? What are we following a model? Which is why I have a roadmap. It's our strategy. But I think what I was getting at with that was, where's the path to monetization? Like, I get the relationships and I get the collaborations with big gyms and with little gyms and clinics and doctors. I get all that, but at what point does it monetize you as a business? That was huge for me, because it's cool, man. I mean, you're in the industry and you're seeing big names and you're shaking hands with big boys and big brands, and all of a sudden you're known in the industry, and it's amazing. But how does that monetize you, right? And I think that's where the strategy comes into play.
Big time.
So I think like collaborations and partnerships have gotten us a lot further than we would have by ourselves. But that's not a one-sided street. Like we're helping them as well.
Yeah.
Right, in those collaborations. It's just a matter of monetizing it, was my thing.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I see our socials and I see everybody following and I see what's happening and I see people just coming up to us in random places, like wearing a Recon shirt.
Yeah.
my hard thing was just monetization from the business development side. Like,
yeah.
how does that monetize you?
Yeah.
And I think once we started down the path with a few clinics and a few therapy offices and doctors and gyms, and we started to see, you know, licensing agreements take place and equipment sales go through the roof from a commercial perspective because of those partnerships, the monetization started to click. And I started to see after, you know, 8 months of arguing with Ilia about a strategy, I started to see more exposure, which created great partnerships, collaborations, which in hand, you know, if your development plan is correct, should create revenue for you. And that's what we're starting, you know, to see on a large scale right now with all the partnerships.
Yeah.
Agreed?
Oh yeah.
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 I mean, we could throw some names out there, but we're not going to do that. We're just going to invite some.
They'll just be
certain
on.
people
They'll be on the
let's do
podcast
that.
for some of
Let's do that.
bigger.
Because there's some exciting shit.
Oh yeah.
Right? Without giving it away. Personal development, how fitness ties into personal growth and achieving success. Well, I wouldn't be here in this chair if I didn't have health and fitness in my pocket, number one. We know that, well, from my perspective and my own personal experiences, the physical accolades within fitness go hand in hand with the mental aspect of it, you know, and those two, to me, have to combine, otherwise don't bother.
Yeah.
And that's something I struggle with a lot of times. Like, and a lot of guys in the industry do. Like, you go 4 days outside of the gym or outside of your training regimen, whether it be a run or a hike or something, or training, like my brain's squirrely on the 4th day.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I'm
Yeah, no kidding. I'm looking for a push-up or something, you know what I mean?
well, and it's funny because we're immersed in it basically 24 hours a day, 7 days
Yeah,
a
it's
week.
our
Like,
office.
It's and even for like personally, like my training has fallen off even over the last, call it, year, where it's not at the forefront. But it's so important, and I see it in myself even.
I see it in you.
Getting into the industry, that was the biggest thing. I just wanted an excuse to get to train all the time.
Yeah.
And then you were traveling a lot, and is it me saying excuses for making excuses for myself? Of course it is, because there's no one. You're in control of your destiny in terms of the time you spend with your fitness and health, but. Yeah, it's so important on so many levels.
Yeah.
For our business runs better when both of us are on point in the gym.
Yeah.
It's such a huge thing. And
Family, business, friends, it's all affected, right? Like,
yeah,
I know I go home after 4 days of not training, my wife don't like me.
yeah. Well, she doesn't.
I mean,
I don't know how much she likes you anyways, but
she's like, go back to work.
yeah.
I'll touch on that, like how important it is, and we were traveling and all that stuff. You know, we have a lot of big business things in the works. Like, we have a lot of big partnerships and relationships in the works. And part of, you know, again, part of the goal was to be able to give this to everybody, this ability to use bands to everybody, anytime.
Yeah.
Right? So traveling is not an excuse.
No.
There are gyms in hotels. However, from my perspective, they're basically a placeholder.
Yeah, they're just
To me,
they're
and
just
a waste.
underutilized, and they're
Yeah.
in most cases just so bad. You got a couple pieces of cardio equipment.
Yeah.
No strength.
Yeah.
If you have a strength regimen,
Yeah.
you're not. Yeah, I'm not interested.
You're not following.
Yeah.
Which is why, again, the Recon ecosystem has specific products that allow you to travel, or when you get to your destination, the products are there for you to use.
Yeah.
And again, it's band training, right? So throw them in your bag and go.
There's no excuses.
There's zero excuses,
Yeah.
right? Personal development, we did that one, right? Rehabilitation and sports performance, how the RQC system supports rehabilitation and athletic training. I mean,
I think that's
we're gonna have to have multiple podcasts around that, right? Like,
with multiple so stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
As the introduction.
Yeah.
We'll let the pros talk about that.
Yeah, and we'll do some like demonstrations with some guys to actually show, right? Like you guys are gonna see some stuff on the screen during the podcast. We'll pull up some workouts or some training that goes on within the facility to see and understand it in live time while we're talking, so you can kind of put two and two together. But I mean, the RQC, and for anybody who doesn't know what the RQC stands for, it stands for the Recon Quick Connect System, okay? RQC, Recon Quick Connect. because that's what it is. It's a plug and play and it's a quick connection for your band. So you're not looking for a rack to tie it around. So whenever you hear us say RQC, we are talking about that ground anchor. That's everywhere in our facilities and popping up in a bunch more facilities through Canada here in the next few months. So look for them. What makes this podcast unique? Well, Cody does.
We're going to be extremely upfront. We're going to bring in a lot of the like-minded individuals that kind of like have our same. We end up, clients become friends, and you end up having a very like-minded approach to the industry or business as a whole, or just human beings.
Yeah.
So I think we'll cover all. That's what the podcast is going to be for. It's anchoring success, and that means.
Yes.
That means
Yes.
success in whatever field,
Hoorah.
whatever field you're in. We want you on. We want to hear you. We want to talk about it. We want to hear what your success, your failures, everything. Anchoring success is broad. That's why it's called anchoring success.
Yeah.
Because we want to have it. We want to have all walks of life come
100%.
on the podcast. So I think it'll be a
you
fun
nailed
place to see us. Well, that's not very fun, but
I think
our
cares?
guests will be industry leaders, pop-ups, people who we think have a great story to tell, that we end up acquainted with throughout our endeavors. So I think it'll be a fun place to kind of see all walks. Obviously in the health and fitness realm.
Yeah.
Did I say realm?
Was that intentional?
Oh, I didn't even mean. That's that might be a little bit of a sneak peek.
That's okay.
In this space.
I love that.
I think it'll be a cool place for that. Wide open, unique, and say how you feel. And
Yeah, we're going to be transparent, like you started the conversation with, right? Your passion was about transparency within the industry. That we're going to keep that going. I'm going to be, unique is number one. The first thing unique about this podcast is the Recon ecosystem. Let's be clear. We did develop the safest and the most effective way of rehabilitating, and in my opinion, and some of our guests' opinion that you'll see moving forward, in the strength conditioning world. We did that. And we're very proud about it. It's a very dynamic thing that we did. So there's a lot of pockets, a lot of different verticals off of the ecosystem that attacks everybody. So it's going to take some time to understand the full encompassment of it. But I think that's number one, what'll make this podcast unique is we are the differentiator. We are the innovation.
we've anchored our success to our ecosystem.
We've anchored our success.
It's at the forefront of everything that we do.
And we're not going to hold
You'll
back.
get tired if you're going to talk about it, but we're not going to stop.
No, not until you're all using it.
Yeah.
When you're all using it, and let's be clear, there's home versions of what we're doing. There are hospitality versions of what we're doing in terms of product that is usable product for you guys. Big clubs, we got a lot of partnerships coming down the pipeline. That's what's going to make us unique. You and I can sit here and laugh jokes all day long, but
You'll
follow
see it.
what we're doing.
Yeah.
Follow what we're doing. I want to focus on the education and practical tips for all fitness levels. Yeah, again, we'll get into that. Again, it's so diverse that maybe one podcast is just around the youth and how we're teaching them how to train properly for injury prevention, number one. Like, I have a 15-year-old daughter, and she plays U15 volleyball, obviously. And that really opened my eyes up to like injury prevention in youth, because my kid's so passionate about volleyball that all I want to do is secure that for her, right? I want to secure that ability for her to play for as long as she wants.
Yeah.
And to do that, in my opinion, longevity.
Off
right?
court, the off court is as important, if not more important.
And that's what we're pumping.
Off court.
Like your dry land and your off court for like injury
No matter what your
prevention.
skill level is, or whether you're going to go to the show or never go to the show,
Yeah.
but you love playing your sport.
Yeah.
There is no boundaries. You can still train like the pros.
Yeah.
And still have it available for,
Of course.
train like the pros.
We're just using a different level band.
Yeah. it's for everybody, right? So a lot of the youth, and that's what I'm excited for. As our facilities get built out, with some of the companies that we're dealing with, to be able to see that and be able to see how empowered a young athlete that is just like, man, I'm getting to use this special system.
Yeah.
I have this. It doesn't matter how much it costs. My parents don't have to shell out all this money. I have my own app. I do my own stuff, and I can still train like the pros, which is cool.
And they get to follow that on our platform.
Yeah.
Again, another portal off of the digital platform coming 2025. You know, you're a 15-year-old volleyball player and you want to follow a specific player that you like in the pros, go to that portal and watch how she trains and then follow her lead, right? It's that simple when you bring it all together.
Yeah.
So injury prevention was huge, right? I really wanted to secure that for my kid and then for all youth moving forward. But essentially, I wanted to make sure that she never gets injured throughout her, career in volleyball, whether it be till she's 18 and she's tired of it, or she goes on. And we create that foundational strength within her. My kid's flat-footed, and so am I. I have no arch, and we kind of buckle in, and we started training with the bands and getting the whole hips opened up, right? And then stabilizing muscles within her knees so she wouldn't buckle. And I watch her form now, and it's even.
Yeah.
Instead of, you see her training in it, right?
It's great.
Yeah, it's crazy. And that just brings in a lot of passion for that, for sure. Ilia's telling me to
He's saying wrap it up, yeah.
But you guys can't see.
He's done.
Yeah. I'm going to touch on a couple more, and then we're going to we'll leave it off, but let you guys kind of know what's coming down the pipe. It's our first podcast, so bear with us. So I'm not I've never been like a real social person. I have, my circle and my group, which has expanded since I've met Cody and a couple other guys on the team, which has been really good for me mentally, to get out of my little bubble, I guess.
That's a good way for people to subscribe, because it you get out of your bubble.
100%.
Be a part of it.
Let's go, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's me. So we're learning here too, right? Like, I'm learning how to be social on camera, and I'm sure everybody in the industry is going through this, because content has become such a massive thing within the industry. You're seeing like 14-year-olds putting out fitness content on a camera. You're seeing very antisocial people trying to become social in front of a camera so that they can market themselves. We're getting there. So that they can market themselves and sell themselves, right? So we're no different. Like I wasn't born in front of a camera, and neither was Cody. We're just trying to adapt to it, and we're learning as we go. So bear with us if we have some pauses and some stutters going on.
Subscribe, damn it.
But subscribe. What do they say on YouTube? Like, subscribe,
and follow.
And follow
at the link below.
Yeah, let's go. So yeah, I mean, subscribe, because we're gonna do some cool shit. We're gonna show you guys a bunch of cool shit. We're gonna take you along some journeys with us that we have in some business ventures coming up. And you're gonna get to meet a lot of cool people in the industry that we have lined up for some podcasts coming down the road. Feedback, because it is new to our business to have a podcast and to be transparent. And believe me, we will be transparent in what we're talking about. We have no reason to hide anything, and we'll be the ones that bring things to the surface and cause some noise. What is it? The famous words when I first met you, disruption.
Yeah. Disrupt, man.
Just disrupt it.
Gotta disrupt.
Cause some disruption. So give us some feedback. We'll know what to hit on. And if you guys got ideas, or if anybody wants something specific, let us know and we'll hit it. Follow Recon Health and Fitness on social media for updates and extra content.
At Recon HF.
Like, subscribe, and follow.
You like, subscribe, follow, right?
Yeah.
Is that right, Ilia?
Yeah.
Just two old fucks.
Yeah. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Cody, how old are you?
34.
Okay, I'm 46. No, Cody looks 18 today because he got a haircut. I'm 46, so there's an age difference here. But I think both experiences come together, and we got we got something special going on. So appreciate you guys' time. From Recon Health and Fitness and the team, we'll see you on the next one.